This case has remained with me for 40 years. There's just a handful that you never forget, and this is one of those. People still are searching for answers. People who knew Lisa and still live in the community.
Neal Keeling is a journalist with 40 years' experience covering stories in and around Greater Manchester. In 1984, Neal was a junior reporter at the start of his career.
I'd been at the Bolton Evening News for about a year, covering all types of stories, such as armed robberies, shotguns being used, but never a murder.
All that changed on the morning of the 10th of December 1984, when Neal received a call.
The phone went at 8 a.m. and it was my news editor. He told me to drive directly to Leigh police station for a press conference in connection with the murder of a 14-year-old girl at the weekend. She'd been found in an alleyway close to where she lived. My heart was thumping. I was only 25 years old myself. It was the biggest story in terms of crime that I had ever covered.
The victim was 14-year-old schoolgirl Lisa Hession, who lived in Leigh, Greater Manchester.
She was a pupil at Bedford High School. She was described by her mum, Christine, as a kind and loving kid. She was Christine's only child. Lisa was extremely popular at school, had many friends, and was well liked. At the time, she was going out with a 15-year-old boy. They'd been going out for a while.
Lisa and her mum Christine shared their home on Bonnywell Road with Lisa's grandmother.
The estate where Lisa lived was a close-knit community. Everybody seemed to know each other. It was a safe place to live, parks for kids to play in. It was just a normal place.
Hi, Mum, I'm back.
On the 8th of December 1984, Lisa wanted to join a group of friends at a house 2 miles from her home.
Her mother agreed that she could go on condition that she was back by 10:30 in the evening. Her reward for getting back on time was to be that she could go to the school disco, which was scheduled to take place on the Monday. She got an umbrella, she was wearing a white skirt, white boots, and a blue coat, and set off for the gathering, which was on Rugby Road. At the gathering, there were 5 boys and Lisa. One of the boys was her boyfriend, and the others were friends of both of them. Witnesses said that she left the gathering at 10:15, saying goodbye to her boyfriend. Lisa was known to be extremely punctual, so when she didn't turn up at 10:30, her mum Christine became anxious, and at 10:45 she went out to look for her, but could see no sign of her. Christine realised almost immediately that something was wrong. She then went out at 11:15 to try and find her for a second time, following the same route, without success. When she came back, she contacted Leigh Infirmary to see if Lisa had been brought in and was told no. She then went out for a third time to look for her. When she came back, she reported Lisa missing to the police. I remember she said later that she stood on the street waiting for Lisa's white boots to appear, and they never did.
At 11:55 p.m, a passerby found Lisa's body in an alleyway behind Rugby Road, and police were alerted.
There was a black bruise to her neck and bruising to her face. Police later confirmed that she'd been the victim of a sexual assault. She was found 200 yards from her front door, a minute away from her home. On that night, Lisa's mum walked past the entrance to the alley 3 times and would later agonise about that fact and whether if she'd gone up the alley and found her, things might have been different.
Two days after Lisa's body was discovered, police held the press conference Neal covered.
I think the mood in the community was deep sadness, really, and empathy with Lisa's mum. I remember walking along Bonnywell Road, and it was a tradition at the time that if something of this magnitude and sadness happened, curtains in neighbours' homes were drawn, and I remember noticing that.
Information given at a subsequent police press conference heightened local fears.
Police revealed that in the 3 to 4 months before her murder, there had been 3 other attacks on young women, all within 1 mile of where Lisa was killed. One of those occurred the night before Lisa was murdered. The police told us that the culprit was good looking, in his 20s, and had been wearing jogging gear.
During his time reporting on the case, Neal interviewed one of the women targeted by the attacker.
She explained to me that the lad had threatened to kill her, which is what he did in all 4 incidents. The woman I spoke to was able to get away because she engaged him in conversation. He told her that he'd not been able to get a girlfriend, and this is why he was behaving in such a way.
Neal was also tasked with trying to interview Christine Hession, Lisa's mother.
In those days, in 1984, journalistic ethics were not the same as they are now. And I was sent to knock on Christine Hession's door 3 times to ask if she would give me an interview. Each time she came to the door herself, and she explained to me that she understood that I had a job to do, and she understood why I was there, but she was not ready to speak. And yet she remained civil, even friendly, despite me knocking on her door.
In time, Christine Hession was able to speak about Lisa's murder, and in 2005, she appeared on Crimewatch, appealing for the public's help in catching her daughter's killer.
It's always there at the back of your mind, knowing that nobody's paying for what's happened to your child. They may be married or have children of their own and living a good life. I don't know. But they've not paid for what they've done, have they? And if no one comes forward, they never will.
Now, more than 40 years on from Lisa's death, Neal, like others in the community, is hoping for answers.
I do find it incredible from all the cases that I've covered over the years that this was never solved. And 40 years on, I still remember the case vividly. It's remained with me because I'm now a dad and I've got 2 daughters. I've gone over in my own mind, how on earth can you live with such a loss? It's haunted me for all of my life. Lisa was Christine's only child. She continued to campaign to try and find the truth, to try and get justice. And sadly, she died in 2016 without getting that.